Hello and welcome back to the channel for another chapter from the Chronus Book of Days. It's December, the final month in a universal 7-year, which shares a numerical vibration with the Chariot card in the tarot, along with the moon and all its many faces and phases. The Chariot will not cycle back around until 2032, 9 years from now. We will also have to wait 9 years to experience a December that comes under the influence of key 19, the Sun, as the numbers 12 plus 7 or 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 add up to 19. The universal pairing of the Chariot with the Sun brings to my mind the Greek Sun Chariot myth and its moral lesson about heeding serious advice and warnings, and the consequences when we don't. As I delve into chapter 49, where the subject matter may be uncomfortable for some and even taboo by most standards, you'll find that the lesson of Phaeton becomes clearer. Or at least that is my hope. With that in mind, let's begin. In chapter 49, we encounter two elderly or matured, white-bearded men. The first, the emperor stern and ignoble, all dressed in red, the other silently melded into the environment, alongside a suspicious, perhaps even paranoid figure. This battle-worn character with bandaged head appears triggered by the men, or by unresolved psychic wounds, or even his current surroundings and season. It's a dark and uncannily timed holiday season juxtaposition, one that would easily slip by unnoticed were it not for the accurate insights offered by the Chronus Book of Days calendar system. As we consider these symbols, against the backdrop of millions of small children across the Christian world, dressed in their finest attire for the annual tradition of posing as a prop for the family greeting card photo, upon the lap of a stranger, who instinctively they find utterly terrifying, a complex deeper psychological scenario and shared human experience begins to take shape. Oftentimes, against their will and gut instinct, children are made to brave this holiday ordeal, driven on by the allure and promise of gifts, candy canes and stuffed stockings on Christmas morning. It's a tricky balance of innocence, tradition, generational grooming and shadow legacies, that despite its inherent discomfort, prompts us to confront and grapple with an unspeakable thought-provoking truth. The reversed emperor, accompanied by its satellite companion, the Ten of Pentacles, in addition to the forward motion of Neptune emerging from retrograde on Wednesday, December 6th, guides us into the realm of everyday life, where the act of uncovering or revealing hidden or unforeseen aspects of individuals or circumstances takes center stage. These revelations may delve into the annals of family history, shedding light on how the actions of one's ancestors, shrouded in obscurity until now, exert a profound and enduring influence on the present. Alternatively, what is revealed might pertain to individuals still alive, individuals whose once unassailable authority, reputation, or power is exposed and turned on its head, thus exemplifying the age-old adage, "The emperor has no clothes." In the realm of love and relationships, the reversed emperor suggests a situation where traditional notions of control and authority within a partnership have eroded. This is the period where power dynamics have shifted, and perhaps a partner who once held dominance over the other is now vulnerable or exposed in some way. In this context of the reversed emperor, with all its shadow Aries tendencies, such as having a short fuse and violent, extreme reactions, where someone's authoritative or controlling behavior is exposed, it becomes crucial to approach this change with sensitivity and caution. The exposure of truth may potentially trigger fits of narcissistic rage or spiteful backlash, making it necessary to handle the situation with care, ensuring the well-being of all parties involved. The Ten of Pentacles represents a sense of legacy and stability within a relationship or family. It suggests that there is a shared history and a solid foundation built over time. The Ten of Pentacles signifies the importance of family, tradition, and wealth, not only in a purely material sense but also in terms of emotional richness, close bonds, intimacy and trust. As the satellite companion to the reversed emperor, it indicates uncovering hidden aspects of the relationship's history that are usually unflattering if not utterly damning. There are often layers of past experiences and changing aspects that shape a relationship that may not be immediately apparent or fully understood, such as past traumas from either or both partners' past that continue to affect their present relationship. These could be emotional scars, previous abusive relationships or damaging childhood experiences. We can add to this unspoken expectations, family and cultural differences, background, upbringing, and family pressures. And even moments of significance, such as the birth of a child, death of a parent, events or milestones such as an important birthday that may have been overlooked or forgotten, may all impact the dynamics between people. Above all else, the direct motion of Neptune out of retrograde symbolizes a time when illusions and misconceptions are shattered and dispelled. It begins a period of increasing clarity and understanding. In the context of love and relationships, this suggests that any deceptions or illusions within a partnership or intimate relationship will be revealed and new legacies created. With any luck, it's a time for both partners and even family members to see each other and their relationship more clearly. It's a call to address issues honestly and authentically. When we look beyond the 10 shiny golden coins and implied wealth depicted in the 10 of Pentacles, and consider the card's association with the Scorpio decan of Pisces and therefore the planet Pluto, a hidden treasure of subtle details unravel a narrative that is taboo and often left unspoken. In this scene, we find an elderly man who appears to blend like camouflage into his surroundings, gently caressing the head of one of the 2 dogs under his command. A young boy, dressed entirely in blue, timidly peeks out from behind his mother's side. Mimicking the actions of the elderly man, the boy reaches out to pet the tail end of the other dog. Interestingly, the boy's caregiver or mother seems unaware of the significant, silent influence the elderly man has quickly gained over her tender-aged child, as her attention is fixed on another man whose face remains obscured. Last week, in Chapter 48, we delved into the aspects of the 9 of Pentacles, with a particular focus on the figure of a skilled falconer. As regular viewers may recall, these individuals are known for their persuasive abilities, and for using raptors, like eagles and falcons, to swoop in and hunt live prey. Now, I'll pose this question for your consideration. Could the enigmatic man in the 10 of Pentacles be acting as a decoy for a formidable cabal of child predators, or acting under the elder man's guidance or grooming? Is it his purpose to swoop in, and to divert the woman's attention away from the vulnerable young boy, dressed in blue? This alarming picture carries over to the Death card, which, much like the 10 of Pentacles, is governed by Scorpio and Pluto. Here, in the Death card, we encounter the same little boy blue from the 10 of Pentacles, along with the Virgin Maiden Virgo from the Strength card, the Hierophant from last week in Chapter 48, and the Fallen Emperor or King of the current chapter. But for now, let's focus on the little boy blue from the 10 of Pentacles. Overall, the child symbolizes innocence and vulnerability. His presence in the Death card suggests that these qualities are part of the transformation process, as innocence is often lost when our illusions are shattered. As I discussed last week, in Chapter 48, the Hierophant or Pope represents tradition, institutions particularly patriarchal in nature, and conventional wisdom. In the context of exposing hidden truths, it may signify the wave of revelation, or of uncomfortable truths that challenge the status quo and even some of our most cherished Yuletide beliefs, such as the truths surrounding Christmas itself. The fallen emperor or king trampled underfoot of death's white horse represents the loss of authority, power, or reputation. His downfall may be the result of a public scandal or the revelation of a hidden legacy, such as spousal or domestic violence, unpaid taxes, systemic sexual abuses, or other serious criminality that tarnishes his image and threatens to bring down his empire. In essence, the connection within the tarot cards for week 49, combined with the timely direct motion of Neptune out of retrograde, illustrate the complex responsibility that we, as a collective society, bear in unearthing hidden truths, as well as aspects of our history, legacy, and even within religious institutions, of which, and where it concerns child sexual abuses, none are immune. These revelations demand courage and fortitude to confront, and they carry a significant societal impact when they are exposed, but the same can be said of the impact they carry forward when they are not. This includes, notably, the issues of universal pedophilia within religious institutions, and other esteemed patriarchal organizations like the Boy Scouts of America, alongside those lurking in the shadows of organized sports, and other entities lesser known yet operating in plain sight. It's a narrative that explores the delicate balance between tradition, authority, and the uncomfortable truths that lie both beneath the surface and at times occur in the harsh light of day, as is vividly depicted in the Ten of Pentacles scene. In the solar path position for week 49, we encounter our familiar, somewhat paranoid-looking figure whom we met in chapter 48, the Nine of Wands. This intriguing character represents the second phase of Sagittarius, ruled by the fiery energy of Aries, infused with the inner vibration of Mars. As a result, when the Sun journeys through the second decan of Sagittarius, it can bring to the surface a collective psychological wave of anti-authority and anti-government sentiments. This disposition often manifests in individuals, both men and women, who have a history of service to their country or who have father abandonment issues, or have endured silent forms of abuse at the hands of a father figure, coach, trusted community member, family member, or religious leader. Such experiences, if left to fester, can cultivate profound resentments and a pervasive sense of mistrust toward established authorities and institutions. In some cases, this disposition is a matter of grooming and years of subtle brainwashing. Individuals with an anti-authority disposition will often gravitate toward strongman political leaders and demagogues who present themselves as authoritarian figures, capable of delivering swift justice or protection. This attraction may stem from a desire to feel safe and protected, and the belief that such leaders will rectify past injustices. However, the reality often reveals that these leaders are aligned with the very entrenched powers responsible for the perversion of justice, in addition to the many systemic abuses they vocally oppose. Hence, the complicated relationship between personal trauma, the surge for retribution, and the attraction to a strong daddy figure who promises to wield power in the name of those who feel wronged. This psychological phenomenon reflects the intricate relationship between personal history and the development of one's worldview and beliefs. It underscores the complex ways in which past experiences, whether rooted in service to the nation or concealed traumas, can shape an individual's perception of authority and government. The resulting knee-jerk skepticism and villainization that says, "they're all bad," is an inner projection of the terrible father archetype within, that arises from a desire to protect oneself from further harm or manipulation. It's essential to recognize that while these sentiments can be understandable responses to past wounds and traumas, they also highlight the need for healing and reconciliation on both personal and societal levels. Addressing deep-seated resentments and mistrust may require a delicate balance between acknowledging legitimate grievances and finding constructive ways to engage with authority and institutions in pursuit of positive change and justice. As 2024, the year of strength, represented by the tarot card that features the Virgin Maiden Virgo, who appears in the Death card looking faint before the New Age horseman, begins to reveal themes about the year ahead, it becomes evident that revelations with the potential to challenge the legitimacy or relevance of long-revered institutions that have forsaken their sacred and noble roles will require profound courage and fortitude to confront, but a confrontation of powers is coming. By the way, if you are enjoying the information here, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, give the video a big thumbs up, share with the community, binge previous episodes, and please leave a comment or question below. I'd love to hear from you. With that, let's move on to the astrological highlights for the week. Last week in Chapter 48, there were a few script misspellings and text-to-speech errors, for which I sincerely apologize. While I excel in the arts of divination, including the tarot, astrology, and numerology, I admit that I sometimes struggle with the technical stuff and video editing. Being a one-woman operation, I always strive to do my best and create the type of videos that I, myself, would watch. My goal is to convey my messages with the utmost clarity and coherence, ensuring that the weekly chapter reading reaches you clearly and effectively. So, and because it's still relevant this week, I'd like to go back and even elaborate on last week's topic involving Neptune and the South Node because I sense that I wasn't as clear as I could have been. At any rate, last week I introduced the concept of the via negativis, which is just a fancy way of saying the negative path or dark way. The via negativis is a mathematical point I coined, which is determined by combining the location of Neptune with the Moon's South Node, and finding the midpoint degree between the two. At some point, you may have heard a person in everyday conversation say, He went down a path he shouldn't have, and it was stupid of me to have followed. This sentiment pretty much sums up the concept of the via negativis. This is not to be confused with the road not taken, rather this is the road better avoided, especially in retrospect. And as I only briefly explained in Chapter 48, this midpoint when activated often relates to high-profile scandals, and case studies demonstrating what not to do. Simply put, the via negativis defines any number of unwise paths in life that are always better avoided. Where we find Neptune in Pisces, we find dependency, crippling codependency, and submission. We find weak-minded, frail, vulnerable, and sick individuals, along with naivete and those easily imposed upon, and often in danger of being exploited, deceived and misled. Neptune creates religious and spiritual havens for mystics and gurus, and places where society houses its sick, addicted, elderly, mentally ill, and criminals. Similarly, where we find the South Node we find karmic patterns, as well as ingrained habits, behaviors, and beliefs that we default to, often to our detriment. When Neptune and the South Node combine, they tend to signify a sleepwalking unconsciousness, marked by resistance to change and a chronic preference for comfortable familiarity in situations even when it's not in one's best interests. Until November 30th of last week, the Moon's nodes had remained stationary at 24 degrees of the Aries-Libra polarity for a continuous period of 8 weeks, starting from September 26th of this year. In mid-November, Neptune in its retrograde motion returned to the 24th degree of Pisces, forming a 150-degree angle to the South Node, an aspect of strain, adjustment, and annoyance known as the inconjunct. This week, as mentioned, Neptune goes direct at 24 degrees of Pisces, bringing increased awareness to what was previously stalled, kept under wraps, in the abstract, incoherent, and unconscious for most. The metaphorical epicenter of influence, or via negativis, between these two awakening powers is located at 9 degrees Capricorn, ruled by the Lord of Karma, or for the purpose of week 49, the terrible father. This point is less than 1 degree away from where Mercury is set to retrograde on December 12th West Coast, December 13th for the East Coast, United States. In the context of week 49 tarot influences, the positioning of the negative path in the first house, in Capricorn as Neptune turns direct, can be likened to the dishonorable and corrupt emperor archetype, who has lost touch with reality, and is being called out as having no clothes. This alignment signifies a tendency to prioritize the continuation of the status quo, and an unwavering adherence to organized stupidity, outdated policies, beliefs, and appearances, to the point of becoming tone-deaf and insensitive to the cries for justice and fairness. When the emperor becomes greedy, blind, and more preoccupied with maintaining a positive public image, rather than addressing serious and immediate concerns, he becomes a dangerously foolish, if not reckless representation of the collective society. In summary, the via negativis warns the path to steer clear of is the one led by Saturn, the archetype stern and terrible father figure, whose naked legacy advocates the taking of an eye for an eye. Just as an aside, eclipse season retains its influence until the ruler of the eclipse decides otherwise. Thanks to dual rulership, Venus held power over both the recent Libra solar eclipse of October 14th and the Taurus full moon on October 28th, just a few weeks ago. However, like a snail, Venus, having lagged due to a 7-week retrograde cycle over the summer, only recently reached one of those two eclipses under her governance, doing so last weekend, November 26th, under the light of the two-faced Gemini full moon, before transitioning from Libra to Scorpio this week. Venus enters Scorpio, sign detriment on Monday, December 4th, where under the auspices of the fourth quarter moon Virgo, the snake-bitten seductress will align with the naked Emperor Saturn, along the mystic river of Pisces. This is not a change for the better where Venus-ruled matters are concerned. Occupations and individuals associated with seedy, skid row, unconventional environments and questionable paths, such as sex workers, exotic dancers, cyber-adult chat hosts and hostesses, tattoo artists in questionable areas, nightclub promoters, dive bar bouncers and bartenders, underground fight promoters or gambling den operators, drug dealers, pawnshop owners, private investigators, street hustlers, con artists and even cocktail waitresses, are all in the crosshairs. Venus in detriment increases the likelihood of scandal, front-page exposure, and increased personal danger. I am hesitant to go further down the path of human darkness that week 49 presents. I realize that current situations already weigh heavily and cast a depressing shadow upon weary minds. During these final weeks of the year, what most people desire is a glimmer of hope and joy, and a reason to smile. However, and as for the Chronus Book of Days, we find ourselves working backwards within the shadows of the tarot calendar, whereas we reflect and review the phases and different stages of the year in reversed order, things aren't always merry or as bright as we might like. Secondly, while the 52 tarot weeks and solar path assignments follow a fixed, cyclical and reliable pattern, they are subject to the ever-changing astrology that adds significant depth and substance to what could be a static narrative. With that consideration in mind, on Saturday, December 9th, things get interesting. The numerology of the date itself reveals a strong 19 vibration which corresponds to the Sun card in the tarot, which I discussed at the opening of this video as being the umbrella universal symbol for the month of December, for the first time in 9 years. The conjunction of the Moon and Venus in Scorpio, in the context of a waning chariot year and reversed emperor period, coupled with the transiting Sun positioned at 17 degrees of visionary scriptural Sagittarius, evokes uncanny parallels to the symbolism of mystery, Babylon the Great, mother of prostitutes, as described in the Book of Revelations, chapter 17. The symbolism, which is a brilliant allegory, represents themes of moral corruption, and the scarlet beast of political and military power. However, I have chosen not to go down that road or to entertain that interpretation here. Mostly because it's a rabbit hole, but I think best to spare everyone. On this day, however, Venus along with the Moon, and before either of their oppositions with Jupiter, will resurrect the ghost of full moon eclipse past. The Taurus full moon eclipse more than anything else, rekindled memories of the 2020 Christmas star, or great conjunction between Jupiter and Saturn. This arousal not only awakened the curse of Tippecanoe against United States presidents elected in 0 years, but also the promised new age and a new earth, as some regular viewers may recall. This animating and resurgence of energy from Venus to the October 28 full moon eclipse suggests that the occult promise of the Aquarian age is becoming conscious of itself, akin to the awakening of a Frankenstein monster. It seems that the 2 millennia-old promise is no longer a cryptic puzzle veiled in mystery and parable, nor a heresy deserving of crucifixion, burning at the stake, or hanging in public spaces. It's no longer a grail quest reserved for military knights or a possession of patriarchy concealed within blood oaths and layers of boys' club secrecy. Rather, its time has come, it is here, and has come to life. This week, in Chapter 49, we encountered a complex narrative. It began with the juxtaposition of 2 elderly men, one ignoble and dressed all in red, the other a symbol of silent influence melded into the environment like a chameleon, and a third suspicious character triggered by unresolved psychic wounds and possibly the holiday season and his surroundings. I explored this symbolism against the backdrop of children dressing up for holiday photos, highlighting the uncomfortable balance between tradition, awkwardness, and unintended childhood grooming. I discussed the reversed emperor as host to week 49, accompanied by the 10 of Pentacles, and Neptune's forward motion, signifying a time of uncovering hidden aspects of individuals or existing circumstances. This discovery process may delve into family histories or expose someone's authoritative or cruel behavior. Handling explosive revelations and accountability with sensitivity is crucial to prevent possible violent backlash. The 10 of Pentacles represents family legacy and stability, indicating the importance of understanding past experiences that shape relationships. The direct motion of Neptune out of retrograde suggests increasing clarity and authentic healing in relationships following a period of misfortune and discomfort. The narrative also raises questions about the 10 of Pentacles scene, hinting at hidden agendas and potential dangers, especially to impressionable young children of single mothers, or low-income, unsuspecting parents. Overall, Chapter 49 illustrates the responsibility society has in uncovering hidden truths and demanding answers, especially within the upper echelons of power in society. Week 49 emphasizes the need for courage and fortitude when discussing and confronting uncomfortable realities and scandals. The astrological highlights for the week touched upon the concept of the via negativis, cautioning against going down the same old negative paths influenced by deceptive Neptune and the dark karmic South Node. It warns against blindly following outdated beliefs and policies that are tone deaf to the current reality. This week concludes with a reflection on the awakening of the Aquarian Age and the occult promise of a new age, suggesting that the new Earth is no longer a cryptic allegory or hidden mystery whispered in secret among a tight-knit chosen people, but a tangible reality we, all of us, are awakening to. The age of the zodiacal water-bearer Aquarius aligns with Luke 22:10, where the teacher, the Messiah, instructs his disciples, "As you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters." In summary, Chapter 49 delves into truly complex symbolism, advanced tarot interpretations, and astrological insights that for some may be hard to digest, but nonetheless are urging society to confront uncomfortable truths, while walking a fine line of sensitivity and caution in doing so. I am MetaStar. Until next time, always love.
Alive! It's alive!